Hi, it's John, and in this video I'd like to tell you all about my musical journey so far. And before I do, I want to say a massive shout out to Cyberfairy, who has inspired me to do this video. And check out her video, I'll add a link in the description. It's absolutely fantastic as she takes us through a very honest and humbling journey of hers in music so far, and it is truly inspiring. She's a big inspiration in my life, and I'm hopeful that you'll resonate with her music also. So, to tell you the brief history of my musical journey so far, well, when I was young, when I was a kid, like before 10, I didn't have a lot of interaction with music, and I remember this, what age must have been? I think, well, I need to look this up, but my first vivid memory of music was when I was probably like 3, 4 years old, and my dad used to listen to the Beatles like all the time, and they were just incredible. It was just like to be born at a time where your parents, like all they had on the radio, playing in the house, playing in the living room, we'd watch less TV and we'd also like just listen to music. And the Beatles just amazed me. They were just like such variety of songs, and we used to, like, in our happy moments when we were sharing family experiences, we would we would sing these songs together, which I always found an amazing way of connecting. It was like a celebration, like when we were celebrating a moment, we would kind of step into, when we were excited, we'd like sing along to some of the songs in our heads. So that was a really powerful start for sure. And ironic, look, I'm wearing a beautiful synchronicity. I'm wearing a t-shirt with, it has 3 of the Beatles and Yoda. All you need is love, love is all you need. And so yeah, I never noticed. And then into the 80s, I listened to, like, my first single that I bought was Take On Me by Aha, and I had a little tape player, and I just used to play it over and over and over. And it's really interesting when I look back now. I realize, like, the singer Morton Harkett just has like such an amazing range. It was such a kind of capturing, kind of, what would you call it, like a personification of the 80s for me, because there's such high vibrations and synth sounds and energy, and his vocal range is just stunning. And it was such an amazing song. So I remember that as a kind of key point, and I used to love singing along. And then, yeah, it wasn't until really through a bit of schooling, I did enjoy things like singing along in like choirs and stuff, but I never really didn't do anything specifically by myself. And then really into, I must have been about the age of 12 or 13. I'd been working on, like, I remember being doing a lot of work on video games. Like, I used to love creating video games. And then when I started to reach about the age of 13, I got a computer which had, for those of you that are old enough and remember the ZX Spectrums, one of the first kind of popular home computers, there was like a follow-on to that that I called the Sam Coupe, which is a version built in the UK, and I used to write a lot of music on that, and I used to love, like, I loved exploring the sounds, and it made like all these kind of like 80s synth sounds. And yeah, I really loved just creating. I didn't know anything about music. In fact, I was using like a music tracker which had the names of notes, but I couldn't see, there was no like note annotation really. And I guess that's where I started to learn some of the foundations of music. I never read anything about music. I just listened a lot, and I started to listen to a lot of rock music. And a lot of my like favorite bands were kind of grunge and rock and metal bands, and yeah, I love that so much. And then I got a computer upgrade, an Amiga 500, and I wrote some of my first songs, which were just like sound samples. I think the very first one was, what was it called? Something like Heavy Metal Sheep from Mars, and it was just like this test song. I've still got it on my channel somewhere. And it's just like these fake like me going bah and like making all these sounds, and then like, I had this kind of this funny guitar, electric guitar over it. And yeah, that for me was then I started a journey of quite a few years into my late teens, just creating a lot of computer music, and you know, I really enjoyed that. Some of it I submitted to like before the internet, there was things like computer magazines, and you could share that. And then as the internet gradually appeared, also like I'd share them online on websites. And then into my 20s, I stopped writing computer music, and oh, I have missed a big part, which is I did learn the clarinet briefly. So for a couple of years, through, was it first year into third year in high school, like the end of first year and into early third year, I learned the clarinet. And what I really wanted to do was learn the saxophone, but the advice given to me was like, you should learn the clarinet first. I don't think that was an amazing idea for me, but it did teach me, like I learned briefly, and I must admit I've forgotten so much of it now, like some music theory, and I learned about being able to read music, and playing the clarinet was super fun. But it was always like, it was never taught to me in a fun way. I used to enjoy playing it, but it was just always like, read this music, play this music, join in like the school band, you know, play these things. So I never found it easy to express anything through it. But there was something still drawing me back to music, so I had to keep going back to it. And then in late high school, as part of like a kind of a short course that we did, I think I was in fifth year, we called it a mixing module, and it was where I learned some of the very basics about, you know, recording guitar, bass, vocals. I couldn't play guitar, I couldn't play drums, I couldn't play piano, I couldn't play anything, just a clarinet, and I could sing. And that was really when I started to sing, and I still have some of those recordings somewhere, and they're super fun. let's leave it at that. They're super fun, and yeah, we did some cover songs. I think we did about 5 or 6 cover songs, and that was a huge amount of like fun for me. I really enjoyed it, and there was a lot of just excitement that I felt about it. And then when I went to university, I still did some computer music, as I've said. And then after that, when I left university, I still had this clarinet, but I had like I didn't play it. So eventually I sold it and bought a guitar. And wouldn't it have been amazing if over 20 years ago, if I just kept playing guitar? But I didn't, I just stopped. I played briefly for, you know, on and off for a couple of years at the end of university. And sometimes when friends would come around, I'd play, and then I really just stopped for a long time. And then I joined a couple of bands. So I started, my first band was called Fabian. I have some of our tracks still on my channel near the start, and I did things like we played a lot of gigs around Edinburgh, the city near where we live, and we even made it onto like cable TV during one of the summer festivals, which was in Edinburgh, which is just fantastic. That was like a big moment in my, still is a big moment in my career so far. And I was singing and playing rhythm guitar, and I was writing a lot of the songs, but I must admit I struggled writing songs. I don't know how long we were together, maybe a couple of years, and we did play many gigs in that time, but it taught me. We did 2 songs in a professional studio, and that was an incredible experience. And a lot of that experience that kind of still resonates with me today is like the perfection and the skill of the engineers and the sound setup. Apologies if you can hear a lawnmower coming next to me now. Okay, so we made it to Fabian, and then after that I did a follow-on band called Incoming. We played some gigs. I think we even won like through the first round of like a talent contest, like a local talent contest. That was fun. And then after that, I didn't play anything for years, and it wasn't until into, I think it must have been around 2000 and 2008 is when I played. 2009 is when I played up to. I played for about 5 years with a covers band. So I joined this covers band and called Point Blank, and they're still going, I believe. And they've been going for like years before. I was like their second singer, and it was super fun. It just taught me the like my inner child would just have so much fun. Like we would just go out at weekends and we'd play most weekends, and we'd play pretty much everywhere. We'd tour around the borders, north of England, Scotland, and we'd play in these pubs. And I remember Jock, the rhythm guitarist, and he was also like the kind of organizer of the band. Like encouraged me to just like go and dance on the bar, like go and dance on a window, or like just go crazy. And even though I was completely sober and terrified and nervous and no idea what was going to happen, I did it, and just everyone loved it so much. We're just like dancing on tables, dancing with people, and it brought out a side of me, that this extroverted side that I just love so much, that performance side. And for me, it was kind of a defining moment when I realized that there is definitely a separation between what you're scared of doing and just stepping through it. You know, once you step through it, there's just this whole world of, fun and joy. So that was great. And I did it for years. But there's this underlying niggling thing in me, which is like, I need to write songs and I need to play guitar. And I think for me, I didn't touch it much until on and off I started playing. There's a local open mic night here where I live in Dunbar, and Wesley Brad, who's an amazing friend and musician, had been organising it for years, and I started going along sometimes and just playing a few songs on guitar. And it was some of the songs that I'd learned from singing in a covers band. And gradually, the more I got to know the other musicians, the more I kind of stepped into this comfort zone of starting to write songs. And through the amazing musicians there, I really started to kind of gradually step up, thinking, yeah, I could write songs and I could enjoy doing it and I could share it. And then more recently, so now in November 2017, I attended a Kundalini yoga session, like meditation yoga session, and also a sound healing session afterwards. And when I attended that, I had what can only be described as a spiritual awakening. Like I had this just huge epiphany. Like I saw the universe. I saw the energies, the planets, the stars, and it really opened my mind to there is so much more to this reality than meets the eye. And so at that point, I'd also just moved house into this place where I'm just now in what is now a studio. It was a dance studio. It's like a double garage converted into a dance studio. And so when we bought this place, I was delighted. I just started playing and recording songs at home. And so I stepped into this place and I was like, wow, I could create all the time. And I started doing songs at weekends. So I would like come in a Saturday morning or a Saturday afternoon or something and just kind of ad hoc, no particular rhythm to it, just start creating songs. And I had very little to start with. Set up, I had my guitar, I had my acoustic guitar. I had the old electric guitar, which I've had for like over 20 years, since I think I first got it when I was in the band Fabian. And it was like, it's funny because it's like a 90s metal guitar. And then, yeah, I started to gradually build up my equipment. And in terms of the music itself, it started and still is just this big like exploration for me. When I started recording songs, I was just like, a huge thing for me was overcoming this like fear of lack, this fear of I don't know how to write. I didn't know how to write a good song, create a good song, and everything that I was trying to create prior to that, I never felt was good enough. I felt like it sounded too similar to other people's music. I felt like someone had probably already written it before. If you could think of an excuse, I just didn't want to share it. And I did remember like there was a couple of times. This is a really funny kind of interdimensional aspect to some of those frustrations at the time. So I remember thinking, I could write songs like this, and I probably have like hundreds of songs being able to do it like that. And it was a really weird feeling because I remember thinking at the time, oh, but I won't do that. I'll just do something else. And it was a really strange kind of moment in my consciousness. Like, why would anyone just suddenly think that they could, after struggling to not be able to write any songs, suddenly think that they could write hundreds of songs in a certain way? And I didn't really know what that was, but I felt like it was acoustic based. It was, my voice was kind of like sitting in the kind of mid range. And it's really funny because it it probably is more of a theme for my music today. And I've written over 1,600 songs now. Yeah, so when I started kind of ad hoc in the studio here, I just started gradually building up the equipment. So, and I didn't really know what equipment I needed, but I knew I wanted to create lots of different sounds. And I love like rock music and band sounds. So I bought an electric drum kit from my nephew. He had no longer been using it, so I picked up that. I invested in a mixing desk, and I really didn't want any of my music to be. I didn't want it to be, over overthought. I didn't want to like overthink the creation. I didn't want to spend hours on computers because I'd done that when I was like a teenager. I remember like I would spend like 30, 40 hours on a song, and I found it so difficult once it was created to be impartial and to be able to even get like mix levels right and all this kind of stuff. So I wanted to create much more of a kind of live experience where I do it much more real time. And I quickly formed, like after 2017, I formed this idea that songs are gifts and that every song is a gift that's given to me, and that it's up to me to then kind of just package it up and express it and share it with the world. And so that's what I did. And I felt like it's not something that I can just, over obsess and over index on and just overthink. And I just want to be clear that every musician, every artist has their own way of expressing their own preference, um, and I know for sure that if I spent longer either recording the song itself or then mixing it afterwards, that I could make it sound better. But I love the aspect when I'm creating music now of the mistakes. They're like the kind of accidental perfection. And each song for me is just like it's like a step in the path. And a bit like a step on your journey, when someone says to you, oh, you ran a marathon, how many steps did you do? It's like, it's not actually important how many songs I write. But just knowing that each step I'm taking, it's like every minute that I'm spending in that moment where it's just like this happy place of creating, I feel like it's a step in the right path on my journey. And yeah, so early on I started, uh, like after 2017, and I got the studio, I then just started meditating each day. I'd listen to what so every day I ask my my asparagus my asparagus guides. I ask my spirit guides So I just do some breath work. I have these videos on my channel. In fact, I think there's a link in every song description about the meditation I use to be inspired to create a song. So you can listen to that. But it's basically some breath work. And then once I've done that, I ask for my guides, higher self and source, to give me a message for today's song. And then I listen to, it's like a very quiet voice in my heart. And sometimes it's a bit of a mix. Sometimes like I see things like in my third eye, or sometimes I feel a sensation. Like today, I just remember I felt the sensation on my arm, and they were showing me like this electricity building up inside of me, and then it's like flowing through my veins, and then like sparkling out of my skin, and just this time to have fun and express myself and like dance and be free. So that was a beautiful message. So yeah, I get those messages through in lots of different ways. And then I go and write a song about it. And I literally just pick up my guitar and I play the first thing that comes to me. And I love that because I'm really disengaging my mind. Like when you think about it logically, it doesn't really make sense, right? So, but when your beliefs and it's more than a belief now for me, it's a knowing that you can just step into that channel and receive, then you realize I don't need to overthink. Like what I'm really doing is I'm taking like these messages and music, that are flowing through the universe, and I'm bringing them into my heart, and I'm physically manifesting them into this reality, into this world. So yeah, I just record guitar. I record, and it totally varies. My last couple of albums have probably had less bass and drums in them, and more explorations with guitar, acoustic guitar and electric guitar. But yeah, I have like now today I played drums, and I wouldn't call myself an amazing drummer, but I really love playing the drums. It's super fun, and I love how they add to the sound. I could have learned how to do them, using a computer, using MIDI, which I'd done years ago, but I just thought I don't really want to spend time on a computer, and at the times that I get to practice a real drum kit, absolutely love it. And so it's like I'm developing a skill at the same time, and the timing's not perfect, and my drum rolls aren't amazing, but to be able to play full stop and to be able to create a band sound all by myself, however I want, is fantastic. Bass guitar, yeah, I love playing that. I just got I literally tried to find the cheapest bass guitar I could on Amazon. I bought that. It needed a bit of work because when I got it, because it was like quite scratchy on my fingers on the fretboard, so like I had to file it down, but that was fantastic. And it's just been a journey to like learn a bit of kind of slap bass and different bass lines, and sometimes a little bit of bass chords. Electric guitar, I'd say that's definitely a journey, and has come on a long way to. I love playing guitar solos. I could study more. Like one consistent theme all the way through this journey is I've just totally ignored any music, teaching or books. Like I think when I first started on guitar, I had this little book and it had like 100 chords, and I must have learned about 7 or 8, and just kind of put it down. And then ever since then, it's just been self-taught. And I hear songs, and I see other musicians play, and I definitely know the basics now, but I really don't know anything about music theory, or writing music. In many respects, it's not. I'd be quite happy to learn it, but I also feel it's just a beautiful journey because it allows me to just explore sound in lots of different ways, without really constraint or really being aware, really being conscious, or overthinking. But yeah, everyone's different. And yeah, in terms of the songs themselves, it's just been an amazing journey. We're at 25 minutes. I thought this would be 5 minutes. But it's just been an amazing journey. recording so many songs, mainly around acoustic. I play a little bit of keyboard as well, and I've been playing recently. I've been playing outside more, so I've done a couple of live gigs. In fact, I hadn't done anything in 2 years after lockdown or through lockdown and just after, and then I did one in a pub, and then I did two for my work. Who kept asking? This was two different. One was in Vancouver and one was in Edinburgh. And people just kept asking, "Oh, you write a song every day. You've got to like play for us, like play your music." And that was just super fun. And I'll definitely be doing it again shortly. Yeah, I've been playing it in nature. I have a little mobile setup I can take out, or just my phone records pretty well out in nature. Just great at the ambient sound and picking up what's going on around me. And yeah, I still do studio songs. It feels like my future will continue to be a mix. And I'm also just adjusting to being part-time now. So my day job, my corporate day job was 5 days a week. It's now three. And I've really enjoyed. It took me about writing about 1,000 songs to realize that this is really infinite. Like it never really stops. And it's just an infinite way of expressing. We have no limits to our emotions. We have no limits to our experiences, and so that's just a beautiful journey to continue to express always. I also love collaborations. They're a lot of fun, and I must admit sometimes I get a bit frustrated because sometimes I'm just pushing out too much, and so if I come across a musician or an artist of any kind, like a dancer or a poet or like an artist, like a painter or drawer, I sometimes I'm just too pushy, and I'll push out and say, "Hey, like, would you like to collaborate together?" And then I'll write them a song and send it to them, and then I don't know if they're really quite ready or not, but it can just take a while for it to come back. And I think usually I have about 15 songs written, waiting for the other people to do their part. And sometimes people just find it intimidating. They love the idea of being invited to collaborate, or they invite me to collaborate, and then they get nervous about it, or maybe I send them something and they're not very happy with it, but don't want to say. And it's all fine. So yeah, for anyone that's watching and you have a song of mine and you're waiting to get back to me, like it's no rush. It's all in divine timing. Some have literally taken years for us to complete together, so I'm more than happy. Yeah, and what's for the future? I definitely think playing live more and exploring. Like I feel I just have this massive urge to travel around Scotland and the UK. It's funny because it's like all the things are lining up for me. We have a motorhome. I have the time. I have a beautiful family who they want to come with me if I want to go and visit someone and play. And we even have like the technology for like batteries to big power banks to run music from our motorhome or like mobile really anywhere, or just take my acoustic guitar and my phone, or just go and play on a beach and play a song that no one's ever heard and will never listen to again. It's never recorded. Yeah, it's super exciting. So if you're watching this, you made it all the way in 28 minutes. That's incredible. For this journey so far. And I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that supports me on this journey. And all this time since 2017, I've been in this mission to raise vibrations of billions of hearts through music. And it's my daily mantra. The first words I say each morning is, my music raises the love vibrations of billions of hearts, and it feels amazing. And it's how I'd like to end this video. So if you have any questions, or you'd like me to do any follow-ups on any specific areas, please do. And you know where to check out my music. It's all over this channel. And it's on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, all the major streaming sites. And you can, of course, check it all out on YouTube. So I hope to play for you again very soon. And I hope to play for you in person live as I gradually make my way around the world. Thank you. Sending my love from Scotland. I love you.